Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. Hey Beer Geeks, and welcome to a very exciting edition of Friday 5pm. I hope you've got a beer in your hand and you're ready to cheers, or maybe you've just taken a swig and you're about to splatter it out, because we have a large sponsorship deal to announce.
Well, I'd say, it's large in our book, Johnny. It's the biggest thing we've ever done, for sure, mate.
It is. It's absolutely massive for us. You may have seen some teasing that's been going on social media, and obviously we've been talking about this for about 6 months, saying we'll be able to announce it soon, we'll be able to, and endless things have got in the way, which you'll see in next week's video, which is the first episode. But we're very proud to say that we've teamed up with Grainfather, who we've actually been working with for a couple of years, because I've been using their equipment since 2016. I absolutely love the Grainfather G30. So when we were looking for people who would help us take the craft beer channel to the next level, we wanted someone independent where they could grow our content rather than end up sort of shrinking it and saying you got to do this, you got to do that. And Grainfather are well behind the stuff that we want to do with the amazing homebrew content, which started pretty much during lockdown with me being desperate for a pint of cask ale.
Yeah, man, I think we started on a massive high with that. I think it was the best film we did last year, to be honest. And, although I wasn't involved in that homebrewing, it made me very, very jealous that I wasn't involved. And I just wanted to get involved. And, now, thankfully, we are on to some stuff we're doing together.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically the deal with Grainfather, they've given us all of their absolute best equipment, and we are going to be building the ultimate home brewery at my house. In its own outbuilding, its own space, its own studio for the craft beer channel. That took a slight knock a couple of weeks ago, because the house that I was supposed to be buying to build said brewery in, it didn't fall through, but it got massively delayed. So next week's video, which was all worked out and going to be beautiful, had to take a very sudden left turn, which has resulted in us building, we've called it the Porter Brew.
We have. I went through several thousand names, and Porter Brew, not Portaloo, Johnny. Hopefully the stuff we're going to make on it is much better than that. But Porter Brew was the name that stuck onto the side of the metaphorical basin.
And now the reality that is 2 pallets, one of which is upside down with a brewery on top. So we won't spoil it too much, but basically on Wednesday, the first episode of our Grainfather homebrew content is going live, and it is with the awesome Wildcard Brewery up in Tottenham, and they agreed to store our portable brewery while we went through this. And yeah, that video is live on Wednesday at 4pm. We've already seen Grainfather have already sent out some messages, and we're starting to get that news out there, but it's a huge step change for us. I don't think we've planned anything more than a month in advance, and now we've got content spanned out until the middle of next year.
Yeah, to sort of, not to put too much emphasis on it, we are still doing our regular programming as well. Mm-hmm. This is home brewing channel content that is going to be on Craft Beer Channel. It's a whole new massive playlist.
Absolutely, yeah. And, all the content that we've done with regards to homebrew so far has always been kind of narrative-led and a bit of an adventure, and us learning about beer generally through brewing it as well. So that's going to continue. That's what Grainfather loved about our content, that, their whole mission is to get not just people buying Grainfather, it's about getting people into homebrew. And that's what we like to think our content really does. And I think that, Grainfather, also the products that they make it a really accessible hobby in terms of, taking away the really DIY element and just giving you the ability to play around with recipes and have a lot of fun with it. And that's what I've always loved about the Grainfather, having zero engineering knowledge in me, despite my dad and my brother being engineers.
It's proper geeky stuff, isn't it, Johnny? I mean, we're not talking buckets here. This stuff is automated. They do things that are not automated, which we're probably going to get into as well. But it's boys' toys. It's real...
girls' toys.
And girls' toys.
All people's toys.
Well, I wasn't being sexist, just that well-known phrase, boys' toys. It's just because I'm envious. I want one in my garden as well, so...
Well,
next year.
maybe one day. I mean, you filled your garden with buildings already. I don't know where another building would go.
I'd take down... So, yeah, I built a building maybe 2 years ago. I just thought I'd build a little building. So I can build stuff. I'm pretty good at building stuff. We've just built this thing, Porter Brew, this week. We're going to be building more stuff, obviously, what we're talking about. So that's an element I'm kind of keen to bring to the channel as well.
You're a big fan of the YouTube build, aren't you?
Yes, mate.
You love a building project.
A building project. A big building project. Yeah.
What's been your favourite YouTube builds that you've seen?
There's a guy called Colin Furs that does some pretty excellent stuff. He looks like he's a member of ACDC. In that he always wears like a sort of cut-off white school shirt and a tie.
Wow.
It's quite a strong look, and he's ginger as well. And he's very, very overly enthusiastic. But he makes amazing things like a homemade hover bike. So it actually levitates.
Okay, so 2 pallets, 1 upside down is not quite on that level of build.
It's not a Furs build yet, but it may be very early Furs build.
Early Furs build.
Yeah, he's done all sorts of shit. But I like that guy. There's loads of that stuff on YouTube.
I got during the height of lockdown, I got addicted to. There's some guys. I'm not quite sure where they are in the world, but they would dig down into this amazing, like really silty soil and build amazing swimming pools with slides and stuff like that. And it's
looks like it's in a jungle.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
It's like amazing slow TV, but it's all sped up, which is slightly weird.
Yeah, that's super weird. It's like this weird clay sort of earth, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the most amazing, and they just hack at it with like almost pickaxes. Yeah. It's proper cool. So not quite on that scale, although when we finally build and commission the proper brewery, it will be. The other element to this, along with Grainfather, is we're really going to be going to town on the experts that we're going to be getting involved in this. So we've already spoken to some of the world's greatest brewers. None of them are 100% signed up yet because obviously timings might not work. So I can't say who, but think of the hypiest hype breweries you can think of, and we are going to be brewing with lots of them.
That is not an understatement. That's legit in the works stuff. We're not blowing smoke up anyone's asses here.
No. The creme de la creme, the absolute best, are hopefully going to be sharing recipes and hints with us and helping us brew some of these beers. We've already done that with Siren and 5 Points in their respective fields, but we're going to have American breweries, Swedish breweries, maybe even German and Czech breweries involved in all of this. So it's incredibly exciting, and it all starts next week. When that video goes live at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, we're going to do a premiere for it. So if you don't know what a YouTube premiere is, usually when a video goes live, you can put some comments in there. I sit there for an hour and answer all of them anyway on a Wednesday. But with a YouTube premiere, and we did this for our New England documentary, it's like watching a live show. So all the comments are coming in live, you can interact, you can probably even send super stickers. So it'll be a proper live event, so I heartily recommend grabbing a beer if you can. I mean, we all work from home right now, the boss will never know. And you can join us, and we'll be on there chatting away in the chats, and so will Grainfather as well. Mark Maguire, who's sort of the techie guy on the UK side, is going to be in there answering your questions and chatting away for about so the video is just shy of 20 minutes, but we'll keep the fun going. And over the next couple of days, we're also going to be trialing teasing some of the bits that are about to happen as well. So if you want to see that, there'll be a bit on our social, but if you join our Patreon, it'll all be kicking off in there, and of course after the video goes live. Yeah, if anyone's got any connections to Lad Bible, hit us up, because we're looking to get featured. It's really weird you mentioned that, and I actually walked past the Lad Bible office in Manchester this week. Damn. Because I think even it was a couple of minutes before we'd spoken and we'd mentioned maybe we should send it to Lad Bible. And then I walked past the office and I was like, this is fate, either fate or a warning.
And then, you didn't knock.
Well, I didn't really know what to say. I've got a video that's not finished yet. Do you want to not see it?
All right, lads, have you got any...
Lads, yeah.
I mean, the Lad Bible content these days isn't particularly laddie, is it? They can't really lose the name, though.
They've stepped away from that. They do some quite good investigative journalism as well at this point.
That name is always potentially going to haunt them, isn't it?
Yep.
But hey.
I was trying to do a little segue to me being in Manchester, and you ran over that segue with a steam train.
Yeah, I did, with a porter brew.
With a porter brew, I have nearly lost a toe to the porter brew now.
Oh.
It's a heavy thing when it gets rolling. So yeah, I was in Manchester this week. I was up at Cloudwater and Torside Brewing. So Torside, possibly you won't know, certainly if you're not English, they make amazing smoked beer. They're probably the only UK brewery that really focuses on that. They make lots of Rauch wine, so like barley wine strength smoked beers and wheat wines. They had a great Dunkel while I was there, which was brewed using the second runnings of the barley wine that they made, smoked barley wine. A really cool brewery right by the canal, right by some longboats. It's a beautiful place to be, and right next to the factory for drumsticks and love hearts and all that. Swizzles, I think it's called.
Oh, right. Yeah, when you said factory for drumsticks, I was thinking like
actual
ones.
Yeah, no, the sweets.
Right, yeah.
So the whole area smells of drumsticks. It was amazing.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I can't eat those. I feel like they're going to pull my teeth out. They're too chewy.
I think you're supposed to suck on them.
Nah, you got to chew them. Come on.
Right. Well, that might explain. So I was up at Torside taking photos for my upcoming book. September 30th now seems to be the date that we're ambitiously claiming. And then I went up to Cloudwater, where I filmed a video where me, Paul, and a brewer called Caitlin did some hop rubbing of the new 2020 crop of American hops that have just come over, and a couple of Antipodean hops that came a couple of months ago. So that's going to be a really great video when we get around to releasing that, all about the seasonality of hops, about what Paul looks for, Paul of Cloudwater looks for when he's selecting his hops, but also the different varieties of hops that you can have, like the cryo and the BBCs and all that kind of stuff. And then I was on their live show, so I'll put a link to the Cloudwater live show in which we talked about bitters.
Nice.
And had some delicious bitters. And then a guy called John Clark, I would say he didn't gate crash it because Paul dragged him in, but he apparently went to school. Did he go to school with Ron Pattinson, the beer historian, and is a bit of a camera legend, and he took Paul's seat for a bit, and we had a good old natter about old school bitters and what new bread barrel and stuff. It was a very weird, surreal night. I woke up the next morning kind of feeling like it had been a dream. I had been up since 5 that morning, so
a wild dream.
Still not 100% sure. I should check that link exists, and if it does, if it was a real thing, it will be there.
I guess we better talk about this week's video.
We probably should, yeah. 14 minutes in. So this week's video was all about Beak Brewery, who are one of the breweries that we picked out to have a big 2021.
Yeah.
I'll put a link to that in the video as well. I think from the tour that we had, we were justified in doing that.
Yeah, I mean, like, the beers they make are amazing, super sessionable. That location they're in, I love Lewis. Like, I've got a sort of family connection to that part of the world, so always love going to Lewis. And just having those crazy white cliffs around us.
It's a dramatic setting.
Yeah.
And a great place. We didn't really show it in the video, but the tap, as they were setting it all up outside, was absolutely beautiful as well. And they've had live music there, and there was great food, great Mexican food that we had. So it's a really special place to go drinking. I think Lewis has been crying out for that. It's got the really old school, amazing, obviously, Harvey's Brewery and great pubs that are owned by them, but it's not had, as far as I know, any kind of real modern space to drink lots of different craft beers, despite Burning Sky being down the road, but they can't get a tap room where they are. So, yeah, Lewis has been crying out for it, and it's great. The beers we had were wonderful. I absolutely loved the Big Imperial Stout. I thought that the Strangers is a really great beer. I'm not a huge Sabro fan. I'm one of those people, but I really enjoyed that sort of pina colada vibe that it had, and just the whole mixed firm idea. It was only 6 barrels at this point, so we can't know too much, but just the potential for that is huge. If he can every year have these grains from their own area, it's going to add this real sense of terroir and of what it actually tastes like in Lewis. It's going to add that and add seasonal variation as well as the produce varies in size and in quality and all of that.
For being on an industrial estate, it had a real sense of nature there, which I thought was cool. And it also had a sense of nature, Johnny, because we went off-roading.
We did.
We absolutely ragged your Toyota Yaris up through a farm on dirt paths, and there was even a motocross course at one point that we went down some crazy big thing.
It was the farmer who was going to show us the fields. He saw us rock up and came over and he said, like, just follow me. And I don't know whether I've added this to the story now because I know what was about to unfold, but I feel like he walked away laughing. Like he knew what he was doing to us.
He had a maniacal look in his eyes as he said it.
So he went off in his giant tractor and we followed four not small guys in a Toyota Yaris that's already got pretty low clearance. Recently, when I was filming the cider video that we released in November last year, I knocked my exhaust off going to Little Pomona, and I just thought it was going to happen again. My brand new shiny exhaust that's 20 years younger than the Yaris.
Oh, it's you get quite precious about things like that when you have to pay for them, don't you? They become more important.
Is it precious if it's just because it's the money?
You probably never thought about an exhaust pipe before one fell off, and then you're like, please don't fall off exhaust pipe. You probably wouldn't have even thought of that.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing that I thought really happened until it happened outside Little Pomona.
Yeah.
And now, it's all I think about whenever there's a bump. Or whenever I see a speed bump, I'm like, oh, goddamn exhaust is going to go.
Johnny does drive a Boy Racer lowered, a Yaris with
That is not true.
a massive body kit on it.
There's a difference between purposely lowering your suspension and just having a shit car.
Yeah. That's true. That is true. But I had a great time. I mean, I was sat in the back, which there wasn't much room in the back.
No.
With the big lad in the front. But it was very, very entertaining, Johnny. I was laughing my arse off, and I was thinking, I'm glad this isn't my poor little Lupo that's having to do this.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would have made it up there, or that we'd have got in the back, because that car's even smaller.
It is even smaller, somehow.
But yeah, so it's really exciting that Beak have their own grain that they're growing, and I really hope they're going to use British hops as well for those beers.
Yeah.
And the little taster that we had was going really in the right direction. Loads of Brett and honey character from maybe a bit of oxidation and also a bit from the malt, and it was all tasting the way that you'd expect some young wild ferments to go. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that come to fruition, and continued pretty low ABV hazy beers as well. Like, we talked about how big his mash tun is because he makes big beers and he doesn't want to use sugar, he wants them full bodied. But Lula and Strangers at 5, just amazing beers. And Pool was great as well, which we tried in the actual video, and with the high bitterness and the lower finishing gravity, I think that's the way that New England brewing has to go to be a bit more pintable.
Yes,
which does lead us back to the beer that we brewed at Wildcard for this video, which is a Mountain Session IPA, which is a style I didn't know about until I think I saw it on a live stream. And apparently a Mountain IPA is one that is in between the coasts.
Mixes it up. It kind of brings different elements of both into fusion. It's fusion jazz.
Funky. Well, I think it's simpler than that.
Yeah, probably actually.
It's very not jazzy.
It's like
soft, fruity
Korean pop.
Okay.
I don't know why I said that.
Maybe.
Korean pop's probably not that simple actually. It's probably quite complicated, isn't it?
Quite intricate.
Pop music
and
is very complicated when you sort of get to the heart of it.
Yeah,
they're like earworms that just sort of work their way in, aren't they?
I used to have a wedding band, and the hardest songs were the modern chart songs, because you just couldn't recreate that sound live.
No.
At all, really.
Talking of chart songs and such, did you watch Eurovision, Johnny?
Of course I did.
What did you? I actually didn't mind the UK song. I thought it had a good hook on it.
It was all right, but
the guy was weird. Like he wasn't very charismatic.
And his performance, he was clearly very nervous, very breathy. Missed a couple of notes. And also, the UK is deeply unpopular for very understandable reasons.
Yeah.
So that's why we got nul point.
We got way more nil point than Israel, for instance, who've been up to all sorts of
I know, right?
badness right now.
That's how bad we are.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Put it into perspective.
Didn't think about it.
Was that guy doing a line of coke as well?
I think it's still unknown.
He defo looks like he was doing a line.
Either that, or I don't know. Like maybe he fell asleep briefly and put his head on the table. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, that was an interesting moment. I love Eurovision. It was a great show, and there was some great music. I thought that Iceland were robbed.
Yeah, Iceland they were basically like a Scandinavian hot chip, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were good.
Scandi hot chip. I thought they were great.
They had a good song last year that they didn't get to play it because my friend Tommy showed me it, and it was a banger.
They didn't get through to the final. Or...
No, they it got like cancelled last year.
Oh, of course, yeah.
They entered a different song this year.
Right, yeah.
But the one from last year was excellent as well, yeah.
I mean, Iceland is famously brilliant for music.
Yeah, man.
They're some of the best modern artists, and particularly experimental artists, have come from Iceland.
Some Bjork and some
Sigur
what's
Rós.
his name, Sigur Rós, and Thingy when he's on his own from Sigur Rós. He's quite good.
John C.
I
met John C. I interviewed him when I was trying to be a music journalist.
That's all right.
He's a very nice guy. Yeah. Anyway, this is.
I'll tell you what, music, Johnny.
Hit me.
We have just confirmed that we are gonna be headlining the main stage 3 weeks' time.
Oh my God, yeah.
What are we doing, Johnny? We're going to be at Bigfoot Festival.
We are the warm-up act at Bigfoot Festival. So on both the days, if you are going to the amazing music and beer festival run by the guys who run London Craft Beer Festival, we will be there from 11 till 1 both mornings of the festival, warming you up. We'll be chatting to musicians, chatting to brewers, chatting to the chefs, chatting to some celebrities.
Hopefully doing some circus skills,
doing some
yoga,
yoga.
All sorts of shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Things we can't tell you about. Great stuff.
It's being billed as hipster Sunday brunch.
That's it.
Is the brief.
I'm hoping that the guests are the hipsters, because we're not very hipster.
No, we're not, are we? Yeah.
But,
I guess they'll look elsewhere for the hipsters.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you are coming to Bigfoot, we'll be there from 11 if you can get up. It was born out of the idea. They asked us to come along, and I was like trying to think of what we could add that was normal. And I said that at festivals I always wake up early because I can't sleep when the lights up in the
sweaty
tent.
festival. Yeah.
And so I spend at every music festival like 6 hours on my own until the hungover people wake up. So I was like, let's fill in that gap. And now we've got to not be hungover, which was a bit of a mistake. But it's called Hair of the Dog Radio, and it will be broadcast to people who want to listen to it at the festival. So even if you stay in bed, you'll be able to listen to it.
Yeah. I don't think we can get a discount code for listeners.
I think it's sold out, mate.
Oh. we can't get a discount code for listeners, sorry. But maybe if you're already coming, it'll be nice to know we're there too. And come say hello. Maybe we can get a drink together if you're being good and not misbehaving. Oh. Or if we're not misbehaving.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, you're trying to pass the buck already. So do come say hi if you come to Bigfoot, and we will be delighted to have a beer with you. That's the end of this week's podcast. We're not going to take a question this week. We do have quite a few lined up now, but if you want to send us a question, just record it and send it to craftbeerboys@gmail.com. We're not taking a question because we had the big announcement, and we've got an hour and a half before we have to go serve our beer to some thirsty punters at the Wildcard Taproom. So we need to get this beer carbonated.
We do.
And get it in the cold store.
If you're listening at 5 p.m. and you're in Walthamstow or this part of London, come down to Wildcard Brewery, try our beer.
Come down, say hey, absolutely. Cool. Well, guys, we'll see you on Wednesday for the big announcement. Do join the premiere, where you'll be able to chat to us live in the chat section as we watch the video together. And then, obviously, we'll be back for another Friday, 5 p.m. this time next week. Love and beer. The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's Craft Beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the Craft Beer channel, and if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and beer.